Hello and welcome back. Sirs Christanbul here. It's been a long time since the last video. Quite aware of that, and I apologize, but I'm back now. And the first thing you might realize is the background looks a little bit different than you're used to. That's because we are long gone from the fantasy village. Now, we may revisit that another day, but for now, it's on the back burner. And where we are right now is the server that I've been playing on with Sirs and a couple of our other friends, and we're playing a survival 1.8 server. So as we zoom out here, this is the town hall that we built for our little town. And this over here is the museum watched over by that falcon up top. Now, obviously, those look like structures that probably weren't built in survival mode, and you'd be right. They were built in creative. Because the rule that we have on this server is you're allowed to use creative for builds. But today, what we're going to be building is a little bit smaller than those two builds. And if you follow me, I'll take you to where we're going to be building today. Now, right here, we're at about the edge of the main city. So what we want to build today is something with a country feel to it. So we don't want to build in the main city. We want to build far away, outside the city limits. Something that is going to feel like a relaxing escape from the city. So as I run down the only road out of the city, we get to this nice open area where the city ends. And this is where I'm going to be building the Christanbulian country estate. So I'm planning on building a whole complex around either side of this road here. And right now I'm just running over to this shabby little shack that we have out here, out in the middle of nowhere. And it's actually a mine shaft. It's long shaft. It's a mine we set up, just a generic mine, but the reason I'm going into it is because I need some tools to clear the land away so that we can build my country estate. So if you'll give me a minute, I'm just going to go in and see if I've got some tools in here. Aha! Just as I suspected, I had a shovel left in there. And this is going to come in handy because the ground around here is a little rough. So follow me over here. On the other side of the road, this is where I'm going to build the main manor house. So it's a country estate, but an estate is a large area. The estate is going to be comprised of actually several buildings. So Longshaft over there is going to be a part of the entire estate. But what we're focusing on today is the manor. And the manor is the main house. So I'm starting by clearing away all of this uneven land so that we can build the manor. But because I don't have any mods installed on this 1.8 server, I'm doing it all by hand. So I figure I'll use the original world editing tool of Minecraft, TNT. And I get a lot of that dirt removed very quickly using the TNT, but I just had to go around and fill in some of the pock marks. So I'm doing that now. And then of course just sort of sanding off the edges, smoothing out the edges where we have these rough, steep walls from carving away all that landmass. And now that we've got most of that out of the way, I'm just going to carve out a little bit here so we can extend the road to have a little pathway to where we'll be building the estate, or rather the manor house. And I'm starting by using stone bricks in order to lay out the foundation to get a rough shape down for the manor. Now what I decided is the manor would actually be two different structures that were connected at the second story. So on the right, that sort of U-shaped building is going to be the main manor house. And the building I'm working on right now on the left, which has this sort of curve to it, is going to be, I don't know, maybe it's got the kitchen on that side, I don't know, but it's just a separate building so that the manor house has a nice unique feel to it. And as you can see, I also added a rounded section to the main manor building, and that's going to be maybe an observatory, maybe a library, but it's going to be a tower section. And so the reason I have these three very different shapes is because, as I said, it's a very large build, and by having these different shapes and different structures, it really breaks up the monotony of the build. So it ensures that because it's got such a large scale to it, it still stands out, and the different pieces of the build don't just blend together. I don't want this to look like just a box sticking out of the ground. It's a manor estate. It's just a really regal, cool country house. And so now that I've got the framework up using dark oak wood logs, I've gone in using birch planks for a bit of contrast, light and dark, to start filling in the walls. And I'm toying around with how I want the front of the manor to look right now, with different sized windows and just how I want the shape to be. And as we build upwards and we're getting to the height of the second story right now, I want the second story of the manor to sort of fan outwards, so it's going to get a little bit larger near the top of the building. But to make this a bit more realistic, because the building is going to shoot outwards on the second story, it's going to need some supports. So I've used some dark oak wood stairs upside down on the fronts of the buildings and on the sides there, just to act as structural supports to hold that second story up. And now using regular oak wood planks, I'm filling in the floor for that second story. And there you go. You see that little bump there in the middle is actually the little bridge where the two buildings are joined on the second story. And you see I've also raised up the tower using stone, because the tower is also a unique part, a unique building in this build, so I want it to be made of a different material so that it stands out. And all I'm doing is mimicking the framework that I had from the bottom level, again using dark oak wood logs, so that I can get the main structure of the second story placed before I fill in the walls and add the roof and do all that fun stuff. And as you see with birchwood planks, I've also added a balcony around the entire building. And because we have a balcony, we need some way to get out to the balcony, so on each face of the manor, we're going to have some doors out to the balcony, so you can go out and you can just overlook the manor, overlook the entire estate and all the different buildings that'll eventually be on the estate. And I've used acacia doors there. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with those. I've stuck with them in the build so far, but I think I'll go back and change them just because I don't like that you can see through them. Now I've also used white stained glass for the windows, and the reason for that is it's just a little bit different than the normal glass, but it also glows a lot, so especially at night, because it's got that white tint to it. It really glows. And now I've sort of mimicked the support theme up on the second story there, so there's some dark oak wood supports holding up the roof, with some dark oak wood fence acting as a bit of a trellis. And now we're also using dark oak wood fence to surround the perimeter of the balcony, because we definitely don't want people falling off, breaking their legs out at the country estate. Extending the roof there and just adding in some supports with dark oak wood fences. Now that we've got the basic shape laid, you can really see the manor starting to take shape and starting to display its personality. And now, just using some more of those regular oak wood planks, we're going in to fill in the roof area and laying down the skeleton for what will become a nice peaked roof. Now I'm just using regular blocks here because, like I said, this is just the skeleton. It's just the framework that I'm going to build the roof off of. I needed a rough shape so that I could place down some stairs and give it that really nice sloped look. And it was a really large roof for one building, and so it did take quite a long time to do, but it was definitely worth it. I really like the fact that we've got those 3 different peaks all in one building, and then how we have, as you see here, the sideways bits of the roof connecting those peaks. Really gives a lot of contrast, dimension to the build, and like I said, because it's such a big build, it needs to have those different angles and those different uniquenesses to really make it stand out. So before I added in the stairs to the roof, I decided that I would finish raising the stone tower up to its final height, because that stone tower is going to sit above the height of the main building's roof. So I don't need the entire roof there, as you'll see in a second here. And I figure I'll just finish off the tower to its final height. And up at this final level, I have some very large windows that I'm adding in. And I'm actually using a couple of new stone blocks in this build. So I'm using andesite, polished andesite right there. And eventually in the roof of the tower, I also use some polished diorite. And I really like that 1.8 added a couple of new stone blocks, because it's just another way to add color and dimension and different textures to builds. So as I finish off the roof with spruce wood stairs, I get to that curved portion in the back of the manor, and that was a very time-consuming bit of roof to build, because it's on an angle, and angles are always a little bit difficult in Minecraft. But I think I got it to look pretty decent. And as I finish it up here, we get to see the main section of the manor all roofed in, and it looks really good, I think. The different shades of wood all complement each other. But I think the building still needed something a bit unique. Something just to throw everything for a loop. So I had every face of this building with the windows on it. They were all facing one direction. They were all parallel to each other. So I decided I would just stretch out another portion of the roof on this left side of the building at a 90-degree angle and add in a portion of the building that just looks like maybe it was an addition. Maybe the building was built and then I decided, because this is my house after all, I decided, well, no, I want another room over here. And so I have that perpendicular section sticking out to the left side of the house. Maybe that's going to be my master bedroom. So anyway, because it's an addition, I needed to add in some more of those dark oak wood support beams, holding that section of the build up. And I'm just mimicking it the same way I've done on all the other sides of the building. Filling it in with the birch wood planks. And just that little section added on, I think really adds a lot to the build. It makes it unique. It's something that's a little bit different. It's very easy to lay a basic foundation for something and say, yep, that looks good. But then it's once you fill in that main structure and add in these little tweaks to it, that's where a build like this really starts to take on its personality. And I just love the shape of the roof here. All the little different sections shooting out. Speaking of roofs, the tower section is the only section that doesn't have a roof yet. So I'm heading over here and filling that in with a few different types of stone just to give it contrast in the colors. And it's going to be a dome shape, similar to the dome that we made on the Alchemist Tower, or pardon me, the Alchemist Laboratory. And there you see that polished diorite. Or is that andesite? I can't remember. I used them both. And because it is a circular dome, I want to make sure that it's a shallow dome so that it doesn't look too peaked. But I'm going to stop there. I haven't done a lot of detailing on the build yet, but honestly, that's just because it's such a massive build. Adding in too many details would have made this video way too long. So we've got the main structure down, and we've got the majority of the Christanbulian manor built. So now that it's all done, why don't we take a step back and look at the Christanbulian manor house? Oh yeah, and there you go, with a few different angles showing off the manor house. I think you really get a feel for what the estate is going to be. But this has just been one build of many for the Christanbulian estate. So I hope you've enjoyed, and until next time, bye!